Today, our guest is Melody Sandquist.
Hey, Melody. Hello.
Hey, Mel. And she works at the Animal Control Center here at in Southbury. And we wanted to have her on because because we love animals so much, we think the job basically is exciting.
Exciting. It's a tough job.
Yeah. She can shoot me down. She can shoot me down if she wants to, but you know. Hey, so Mel, tell everybody, introduce yourself, tell everybody what you do.
All right. So my name's Melody Sandquist. I'm an animal control officer with the town of Southbury. I've been here about 2 years. I absolutely love my job. I worked at a rescue I started volunteering when I was 12, and then I became an employee when I was 16, and I just actually left the shelter in December. Mm-hmm. So it was very bittersweet for me, but my world of animals has been, since I was a kid. I love them. They're beautiful creatures, domestic animals, wild animals. It's been my passion since I was a kid. So I definitely love what I do now. And educating the public, it's a learning curve for people. Some people just love animals, but they don't exactly know body language or some of the laws that people don't know. So, I think people still kind of think of us as those old school dog wardens that go around with a net and try you guys have met me. That's definitely what we do at all. So, I love doing stuff like this because the public gets to see us on a more personal level,
We're going to see her more now.
I know, right? Yeah, because I've noticed even before we moved up here, people don't have a healthy respect for animals, especially the wild ones. Where you guys will send out letters and post stuff up. Don't put food out for the squirrels and the chipmunks.
Don't do it.
Yeah, because if you do, it brings bigger sized animals to your door.
For sure, for sure.
So
bird feeders are a big one.
Yes.
Stop putting up bird feeders. And I know that birds are beautiful. I get it. I have a healthy appreciation for birds. But even more so than my appreciation for how beautiful they are is my appreciation for the fact that they belong in the wild.
Yeah.
And so, during the spring, it's not the best time to put bird feeders out. If you really want bird feeders, the best time to do it is in the deep middle of the winter, right? Because that's when we don't see a lot of bears. That's when animals are kind of doing their own thing. Now, when people put bird feeders up in the spring, in the fall, in the summer, this is when mamas are taking care of their babies. And any food they can get, they're going to get. And so by putting up bird feeders or, food out for the deer, I've seen people put corn out for deer.
Oh, wow.
You're attracting these larger animals, and then they start to get used to seeing people. And that's when they can become dangerous, so to speak. So most wild animals want nothing to do with us. It sounds so corny, but they're more afraid of us than we are of them, in all honesty. However, when they're coming up to people's houses to get food, they start to rely on you for food, right? So you're doing them such an injustice by feeding them because you're taking away from their natural instincts. So not only do they rely on you for food, they're used to people. And then they don't have that healthy fear of people anymore. So then they're coming up to everyone's house, and everyone calls, oh gosh, Yogi's on my porch.
And you have to go out there.
It's like, well, if you weren't feeding cute little baby Yogi, you wouldn't have a big bear knocking on your door for a picnic basket.
Exactly. Or a picnic basket.
I have a question. So I was told by my neighbors that I should not feed rabbits, and because I think the rabbits are eating the flowers. And they told me not to. And oh my God, I've seen these little cute little chipmunks. They're so sweet.
Melody, she's the problem.
I'm coming to your house.
She's one of the problems.
So one day I'm eating my little apple and I saw one little chipmunk. He got the nerve and he was brave enough to stand right in front of me. And he's looking at me. And the rabbit stares at Max. Max is barking.
Oh gosh.
And the rabbit is a big, huge rabbit. I think it has little babies under our pine tree here. So yeah, so the rabbit just stares at him. But right, honey? It just stares at him.
He's actually not scared of Max, she's not scared of Max.
And she's
which
so
is
huge.
Hilarious.
Right? Because here's this big boy,
Yeah. And she's just looking at him like, okay.
So the question is, this is my question. No feeding at all? Chickmunks?
It's not, it's better for us than it is for them.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is how I'll word it. It doesn't necessarily hurt them, but it takes away from their natural healthy fear of us,
And plus, isn't the food that we eat, it's processed. Even our vegetables are sprayed with stuff.
Well, it's not designed for their natural diet, know. And I'm not going to get too much into it, but just a little side note. If you ever find a baby of any species, squirrel, chipmunk, rabbit, deer, I saw a disturbing post on Facebook the other day for our animal control group. Someone decided that they found a fawn. And instead of calling, a nuisance wildlife control operator or a rehabber because it was a young orphan fawn, they put a collar on it and they kept it outside.
Lord.
And that's, we can do a good job rehabbing animals professionally. When you call a professional, they're wonderful, but they will be the first ones to tell you that they cannot even come close to what mom can provide.
Yeah.
So, if you see a baby, don't automatically assume it needs your help. A lot of moms don't hang out with their babies because babies don't have a strong scent. Mm-hmm. And the parents do. So they're attracting predators to their babies. So they'll stay, within like a quarter, half a mile. Mm-hmm. But just because you see a baby doesn't mean it needs your help. Mm-hmm. And if you see it 2 days in a row or there's a lot of flies around it, flies are a good sign it's an orphan. Mm-hmm. Do not take it into your house and try and keep it. I got a sick little baby squirrel a couple weeks ago, and the people had all the right intentions. Oh my gosh, I need to save this baby. And that's just human nature. We all have that. If you're an animal lover, you want to save the world of animals, but unfortunately they didn't know the right stuff to feed this baby. It wasn't getting any milk, which they need milk when they're babies and mom provides that to them. They weren't getting the proper diet. Giving a bunch of acorns to a baby squirrel, they're not equipped to open the acorn and, giving them cucumbers and grapes and carrots. And, we don't eat the food that they should be eating, right? So whether you're taking them in and you're trying to help them, it's best to call a professional. And if they're healthy wildlife outside, it's best to just let them be and, do their own natural thing.
You know what I find? I find that it's regional too, because I was supervising a security group down in Virginia before we moved here. And we're on this big sprawling campus for Capital One, right? That was our client. And every now and then we had deers and fox and everything out there because it was in Virginia. So one day there was a fawn that the mother left between buildings. Yeah. And I guess she went out to forage or do what she needed to do. Yeah. And the people down there, the guys that worked for me, because they were from Virginia, they knew not to even approach it. and to keep everybody away from it. They basically tried to we taped off that area.
Yeah.
So nobody would go over there and try to, oh, they're so cute. Let me touch their head, you know. Yeah. But it's regional, though. I don't think we up here know. We just find it to be cute.
It's definitely, it's also what you're raised with, you know. Mm-hmm. So I was raised, you know, as a kid, yes, honey, they're cute, but don't touch.
Right.
You know, and some people know that and some people don't know that. And I used to, for my high school, it was an agricultural school, and we went to Goshen Fair every year. We had an exhibit, and, you know, people who either didn't have an agricultural background or don't know a lot about animals or were just visiting in town and were from, you know, a different location, you know, there was a lot of misconception as to what animals were what animals. You know, I heard a lady say to her small child, look, honey, that's a goat. And it was a sheep. And we were all like,
come on.
But I realized, you know, people don't know. No. Not everyone knows. It depends on your background and what you've had thrown at you. You know, if animals aren't your thing and you've always thought about cars instead of dogs, right. You know, when you get a dog in front of you, you're going to know nothing about it. Just like if you ask me to do mechanic work on a car, I have no idea what I'm doing. But if you hand me a dog, I got it, you know? So I think it's...
You hear that, Max? Someone just walked past
He hears my voice.
Your buddy Max. Give me
Come here, Max. Hold on.
Don't say it. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it.
Good boy.
Leave it. Good boy.
He's so good.
Sit down. Leave it. Leave it.
Come here.
Leave it.
Come here.
Leave it.
Come say hi.
So you're going to howl now.
He's like, you're doing animal control. I have to say hello.
Let me tell you something. Every time we do this show, he goes through this. He was dead right here, you know. So I guess our audience knows him by now.
He's a natural born star.
He is.
Maximilian.
Yep. Max, come here.
Come here. I don't know if you can see him.
No, if you go over, look, there he is.
Yep. Sit down.
Oh God, he's so handsome.
Oh, he's something else. He is. He really is.
And again, you're 100% right. If you don't, and my thing has always been this: if you don't like, not even don't like, let's say you have no clue about what it is to take care of a dog. You know, I can even go further than that. If you have nothing, you have no idea what it's like to take care of a goldfish or a hamster.
Yeah,
it's not for you.
Yeah.
It's okay. Love them from afar. You know,
right?
Or visit someone who does and say, wow, that's really nice. Because if you sit down and really talk about it, especially dogs and stuff, they're a lot of work.
Oh, yes, they are. And money. People don't think about money.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, I'm trying to figure out how to get his, in this craziness, I've been trying for a few weeks to find a place open to basically have his claws cut.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody's telling me, well, we're not open right now.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much. You know, groomers are closed and, you know.
He looks like a wild cat. I was going to bring him to you and say, you know how to do this?
I do.
You do?
I do.
Don't make me bring him up there to you. I swear to you. Either that, I'll pay you to come here.
For sure. We'll all wear masks and I'll come with my clippers.
Yeah, it's all about that. We walk around with people who have no mask on.
Well, she knows. She knows. People are not wearing masks. I just got finished walking him, right?
Yeah.
This lady is passing by me and she has no mask on and she wants to talk.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, how you doing? Bye.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. It's a real thing, you know, and I think some people take it very seriously, and I think some people don't take it quite as seriously as they should. Right. You know, but to each is their own.
Yeah, but like they say, though, wearing the mask is not for you.
No, it's for the other people. Yeah, for sure. And, you know, I don't think people have quite grasped the fact that you can be asymptomatic. So
And
you
I
can
think
have
the
it
majority
and
of
you
people
cannot
are.
display symptoms, but you can give it to someone,
Of
you know?
course. Of course. I think the majority of people are, because if you look at the percentage of the people who has they've recorded having it,
Yeah.
the percentage of people in America,
Oh, yeah.
if you think about it, it looks like a big number. That's a small number.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Very minute number for the amount of people we have in this country. I think a lot of people are asymptomatic and just don't know.
You know, or I think my sister was very, very sick in January. And that was, you know, before it really became a huge thing here.
Mm-hmm.
And her doctor was like, yeah, you have the flu,
Mm-hmm.
you know, stay home, rest.
Right.
You know, there's no medication for the flu.
No.
And she felt terrible. She said to me, I haven't been sick like that in years.
Mm-hmm.
But she got better
Right.
on her own,
Thank God,
taking,
yeah.
you know, the regular flu medicine.
Right.
And I think, honestly, I think that she had it, you know, but that didn't go reported.
I think my brother had it.
Yeah.
And he's a smoker. He smokes like I do.
Yeah.
He's older than me. He's 4 years older than me, so he's 60-something. New Year's night, he came up to see us, and he went back to New Jersey.
Yeah.
And he called me a couple of days later and said, yo, Nate, I was sick as hell. You
Yeah.
know? And he said it took him a couple of days to get over it, but he got over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
I think it affects people in different ways.
Definitely.
Give me an idea of what you've been doing, though. I mean, have you been getting crazy calls through this whole thing, or what?
Not a lot of wildlife calls,
Uh-huh.
but we have had some very responsible owners who have called and said, you know, I'm not feeling well.
Mhm.
I'm going to get tested. If I come back positive or if I have to go to the hospital, you know, if something happens and I'm unable to care for my pet, are you offering any services?
Mhm.
And we talked about it in the town, the first selectman's office, myself. And, you know, yes, absolutely. You know, in my mind, it's kind of no different from the emergency type calls that we get from the police department. Someone had to be admitted to the hospital. Someone passed away. Someone got into a car accident. You know, we take animals for what's called a safekeeping.
Mhm.
So in terms of coronavirus, I made a whole manual all
okay.
about it. This is our standard operating procedure, and it's lengthy, but it details how to handle animals who have been in an environment that is positive, our personal protection, how we dress, what we wear, how we clean, how we sanitize and disinfect.
Mhm.
But thankfully, knock on wood, we haven't been too crazy. But I'm very impressed with the amount of people who have reached out to us in preparation for if something were to happen.
Right. So have you had anybody that you had to go and get their animal, or no?
Without disclosing too much information, yes, we
Right.
did have a positive household. Yep.
Okay.
And I wore a Tyvek suit.
Mhm.
I wore gloves. I wore an N95 mask.
Yep.
The animal was bathed before coming into the facility and being put in a cage. You know, I've had another impound come in since then, and we kept it on the opposite side. So just to touch a little bit on coronavirus with animals, they do have the potential to get it from us.
Right.
However, and they're still studying this, so this may change. This is just right now what the CDC is saying as of today. 2 weeks from now, it could change, you know?
Yeah.
But they have the potential to get coronavirus from us. However, there have been no documented cases of us receiving coronavirus from a domesticated dog or cat.
Okay.
Thank God.
So, you know, the idea here is if you are displaying symptoms, you need to treat your pet like you would treat another human being. Gloves, mask.
Right.
Ideally, if you're confirmed, if you can find someone else in the household or a close family member who is willing to take care of your animal, or in the town of Salisbury, animal control is willing to step in and help.
Right.
If none of these options are available for you and you're sick and you have to keep your animal at home, you need to treat it just as you would a person. Limit contact, gloves and masks, wash and disinfect everything. As hard as it is, because everybody loves their pets, you really shouldn't be snuggling with them, kissing up on the face.
Right.
You really need to take it seriously. Most importantly, wearing a mask yourself when you're dealing with them. Do not put a mask on your pet.
I was just about to ask.
Do not put a mask on your pet. And it actually says that, it's my personal feeling, but it actually also says that on the CDC's website.
Okay.
Do not put a mask on your pet.
I've seen a lot of people put masks on their pets.
I haven't, because I
It's
can't
crazy.
imagine how it would stay on their face.
It's crazy.
Can
I
they
saw
get it
it.
from another dog, though?
What?
Can they get it from another dog?
So they
Okay.
don't have enough documented proof. So if your animal comes back positive, so you have to have the virus for them to get it, or they've had to come into contact with either another animal or another human who has it. So what the CDC is recommending is that if they're not sick, you limit their time outside to a certain extent.
Okay.
No people, no looky-loos coming up to pet Max, none of that.
That's
Like you
not
said,
right.
the people coming up to you and talking to you, not only are they putting you at risk, but they could potentially be putting him at risk, right? So, keep them 6 feet away from people. Try to limit their exposure. Now, if an animal comes back positive, but say you are not, or even if you are, they need to see a vet, or at least you need to call a vet. Most importantly, and I strongly am saying this, and the CDC is also strongly saying it, your first reaction for your animal if they're sick is to, oh my God, I have to go to the vet, and drive right there. No, put the brakes on, call the vet first. If you yourself are displaying symptoms or have been diagnosed positive, you will not be the one to take your animal to the vet. Again, for a situation like that, Southbury Animal Control is willing to help. Not all places, have that option. A lot of animal control officers have limited their calls. Some of them are not even working in the office regularly. We are here 7 days a week, 8 to 4. Just throwing that in there so everyone knows. But if you're positive, you should not be bringing your animal to the vet, because now you're putting other people at risk.
Of course.
So a close family member, animal control officer, a friend, someone, you want to try and limit the exposure. But, if the vet says, absolutely, I want to see your animal, then it should go to the vet. Now, in terms of animals to animals, there's no real documentation. Like I said, we really don't know as much about this strand of coronavirus with domestic animals as we do with humans.
Okay.
So what is being recommended by the CDC is if your animal comes back positive, you only go outside for potty breaks, which, young active dogs, yes, they're going to get a little bit pent up, but you need to keep everyone safe, them included. So only potty breaks. They have to be on leash. If you don't have a fenced in yard, Some people have a fenced-in yard. That's great. Let them out. Keep them in the yard. For people like you and I who don't have a fenced-in yard, you have to walk them. But you absolutely have to maintain that 6-foot barrier between other people and pets. When they go to the bathroom, you need to pick it up ASAP right away. If your pet is positive, you should be wearing gloves, and you need to, get rid of the fecal matter as soon as you can. Don't bring it in your inside house garbage and let it sit, or anything like that. Not really on your front porch type of deal. Find a good outdoor trash, a dumpster, something. Make sure it's in a sealed container. It's like any other disease or a virus. You want to take as many precautions as you can. In terms of their bedding, toys, food dishes, that kind of stuff, you want to disinfect it after every time they use it, other than water bowls. That's a little different, but you should wash those at least twice a day. So disinfecting, there's a difference between cleaning and disinfecting, right? So make sure that you get all the solids, whether it be particles of food, drool, slobber, fecal matter, urine, whatever. Right. You want to make sure, that you wash that off before you do your disinfecting. I was told in the academy when I attended, and it's the best line I've ever heard in my entire life. State Animal Control Officer Baker is phenomenal. She really is. And she says, and pardon my language here, she says, you can't disinfect poop.
Right.
And she's absolutely right. You can't. So you need to remove the solids before you can disinfect anything.
Well, that makes sense, though.
Yeah.
It does, but some people don't always think about that.
Yeah.
But it does make sense when you really break it down and think about it in terms of fomites and pathogens, etc. It's also recommended if your pet is sick that you kind of keep them in a sick room, so to speak, whether it be a bathroom, a spare bedroom, a laundry room, a mud room, some type of area where you can limit the exposure of the pet to the whole household if they are sick.
Right.
And their symptoms are very similar to ours. Coughing, shortness of breath, they're lethargic, runny nose, goopy eyes, upper respiratory stuff, fever, diarrhea, vomiting. If you notice any of these signs with your pet, it's possible that they could have coronavirus. Now, they do have tests that are strictly for these animals. However, they're not just going to test your pet just because it's a Wednesday and you feel like it. No, it's got to be, they've had to have contact with someone who has it, and they have to be displaying the symptoms,
right.
But those are kind of the recommendations for animals and coronavirus. And most importantly, if they are sick, and you're in discussion with your vet, some vets are going to want to talk to you every day to monitor. Some might not. Before you deem it's okay for your pet to be kind of off self-quarantine, so to speak, it needs to be at least 72 hours after their symptoms have stopped and at least 14 days after their symptoms started. So sometimes their symptoms may curb at 12 days. Nope, gotta wait the 14. Right. Or if it's been, over 14, but their symptoms are still going on, you need to fit both that criteria. Now, most dog parks are closed, but some are opening back up. You really, really need to be careful with your pets. I know. I have my own feelings.
I know. Our feelings are the same, I think.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Like 2-3 more minutes. My main concern is that when we walk our dog, I try to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
You can actually say his name. Everyone knows him.
I try to get up at 5 in the morning just to avoid people.
Yeah.
But there's times that I get too tired that I can't do that anymore. But anyway, my main concern is when I'm walking him, and I don't like him smelling other dogs' poop if I could say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because people do leave poops around.
Mhm.
So, you know, I try to put them, you know, I love hiking. I try to hike in the backyard because we have a huge, I mean, like, it's so wooded, but still I have to be very careful because there's a cliff, right? There's
It's a ravine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous. I'm aware of that. So, you know, and he does his little business out there again because there's nobody around. But how safe is it to walk your dog?
What, them smelling poop?
Yeah, how safe is that? I mean,
So, you know, there are a lot of diseases that dogs can carry, not even counting coronavirus. Although I do just want to say this quickly for the record, because I know we don't have a lot of time. Dogs and cats have their own regular strain of coronavirus. So those of us that are deeply in the animal world, whether it be rescue, animal control, veterinarians, vet techs, you know, and groomers, we are all kind of aware that, you know, coronavirus has been around for years.
Mm-hmm.
Years and years and years. However, it's a different strain.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So dogs and cats can get their own form of coronavirus that cannot be transferred to us. It is not zoonotic, which means it cannot pass through our species.
Mm-hmm.
Just like dog coronavirus cannot be passed to felines. They have their own separate strains, right?
Okay.
So there are a lot of diseases. Parvo is another one. Kennel cough, coccidia, which is a parasite, giardia, which is a parasite. There are so many things that animals can get from smelling each other's poop, depending on how fresh it is. So this is why it's recommended that everyone pick up your own dog's feces. It's very important.
Wouldn't that be ideal if they did, though?
It would be. Unfortunately, we don't live in a perfect world. But, you know, if you're walking him and you see feces or even fresh urine somewhere, you know, try and get Max or other dogs away from it.
No, I pull him away from it.
He is gone. It makes it tough, though. You know, I definitely understand what you're saying. Walking your dog is tough because you're not in control of the environment.
No.
You know, so when you're walking, especially right now during these times, but generally speaking, you need to be very aware and cognizant of the surroundings around you and where you're walking your dog, which is unfortunate. I see a lot of people, and I've been guilty of it too, that I'm walking my dog in my own yard, to be fair, but still my phone's glued to my face because I got a work text or a call or etc. You know, but I'm looking at this and I'm not paying attention to what my dog is doing.
Of course.
So he could have his face full of poo and I wouldn't know, you know?
Exactly. Yep.
So you need to really kind of be aware. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people don't have a fenced-in yard and they have to walk their dog. So it's really just... It's 50% safe. You know, there's no right answer. Yes, you're safe all the time. No, you're not safe. Depends on where you live, how many people are around, how many other dogs are around, how your dog reacts outdoor on leash. You know, there are a lot of different factors. So I guess my biggest form of advice for if you know, have to leash walk your dog, either for exercise or for them to go to the bathroom, that you just really need to be aware of the surroundings and what's going on around you.
Well, Mel, we've run out of time. And I think this has got to be like one of the best ones we've done.
Yes, the best.
Oh, thank you.
Your stuff was so informative, and I hope that everyone listening to you kind of took in everything you were saying, absorbed it into their head, especially if they own a pet. And we appreciate it. And I will be calling you about his nails too. But
I'll help you with his nails. And my last little plug in here is, you know, I really just want people to be aware, especially in the town of Southbury, that animal control is here to help. You know, no matter what the situation, financially, coronavirus, cutting nails. A lot of people, especially in the village, have larger dogs that they're not able, when they have to go to the vet, they call us, I can't lift my dog in the car. And that also is a service that we do provide. So we're here to help, you know, and I want people to know that.
And we appreciate that too. End the show by saying this: man makes plan, God smiles. And this is a pure example of it. Mel, thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me.
And we'll be in touch. See
Awesome.
you guys.